Let's take a look at some of the features of the actual ACORD forms and certificates in Forms Boss. I'll show you how our software is set up to manage ACORD forms. You'll see here on the customer prospect screen, the very first tab here in the middle of the screen is the Forms tab, and you have a row of buttons that controls your forms list here in that tab. The first button here is the Add Form button. If I click that, it will allow me to search for a form that I might want to add for this customer. You can search by the form number or a word from the form title. So if you know the number of the form, you can just type that in and press enter. And it will pull up all of the forms that have that number in them. If you didn't know the number of your form, but you had an idea of what the title was, you could just type a word from the title here in their search characters and hit enter, and it would pull up all the forms that have that word in the title, and you'd be able to find the form in the list. You'll see here there's also a Find All button if you want to just look at a list of all of the ACORD forms. There are many ACORD forms though, so it's actually easier if you can just search for one at a time. You'll see here at the bottom of the screen the optional form description. This is just a reference point for you. It's not something that's going to appear on the form itself. It's just going to appear in your forms list on your customer screen, so that, for example, if you have more than one certificate or more than one of the same type of form listed under a customer, you'll want to put in a description so that you can tell which one is which in your list. When you have your form selected and you've entered your optional description, you click Open. And it will open that form for you. I want to draw your attention to several features of specific forms here. You'll notice when your form opens up, it will automatically pre-fill the date entered with today's date. You can change that if you'd like to. It will automatically put your agency information in. It will put your customer's name, and it will pre-fill various information here for you. You can type in some of these other fields and add things in as you need to. You'll notice that there are some fields, such as date fields, that require a certain format. So you'll notice that if I don't type the date in the format that's required, it will give me a little error message, and it will tell me how I need to type that date. So I click OK, and I'll go back and type it again. There you go, and now it took my date in the proper format. You'll also notice that some fields in a form are checkboxes instead of typable fields, and you can check those checkboxes just by clicking in them, or if you tab to them, you can use your space bar or your enter key to check the checkboxes, or even uncheck a checkbox that's already been checked. So you'll be able to just navigate around this form with your tab key on your keyboard and type in the information as needed. While I'm in this particular form, I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that some forms have areas where there is vehicle information and also driver information. If you have entered vehicles and drivers on your customer screen, you can actually pre-populate those vehicles and drivers into the forms. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment, but I wanted to take a look at those form sections while we had this form open. So instead of typing all that information in, you'll be able to just pre-populate it. I'm going to click Save on this form. You need to make sure when you save it that you click the Save form on the form itself, right here next to the ACORD logo at the top. That's how you'll save the form with our server. If you click the Save button up here, that's not going to save your data to our server, and you're not going to be able to get back in with your data saved. So you need to use the Save on the form itself. It will say your form data has been saved, and you can close out of the browser window. And you'll see that it has added this form to our list right here at the bottom. Let me show you what I was talking about as far as adding drivers. I'm going to right click on this form, and you'll see it gives me a drivers or vehicles option pulled up here. I'm going to click drivers. It's going to pull up a list of all of the drivers that I have already previously entered for this customer on the drivers tab. I'm going to select 2 drivers. I'm going to click OK. Now it has added those drivers to that form, but in order to be able to show you, to see that those drivers are part of the form, I'm going to click on the form again, and I'm going to click Export Forms. When you export a form, it's going to open a version of that form that can no longer be typed on. This is really handy for saving a copy of the form to your computer, for printing it out, for emailing it to someone. So you're going to need to do a lot of exporting of your forms in order to see that they are not fillable anymore. I wanted to scroll down here though and show you where it has added the driver onto this form. This one actually only has 1 driver information. I had selected 2, but this form only has room for 1. So it just shows the driver already added in on that form with all of the information that I had already typed in. So I didn't even have to retype all of that data. It's already added in on the form. So that gives you an idea of how to use the pre-fill feature for vehicles and drivers on various forms. I'll just show you really quickly with this other form in my list how to add a vehicle as well. I'm going to select a vehicle from my list and click OK. And then I'm going to select that form again, and I'm going to get Export Forms. And you'll see there that it has entered the information about that vehicle directly onto this ID card. And I didn't have to retype that information into the form. So that shows you how to use the vehicle and driver features in our Forms Boss software. Let me do a little bit more explanation about these buttons here. So now you know how to add a form. If you wanted to edit a form in your list, you would just click on the form and then click this Edit Form button, and it would open that form up in the version that you could type in. If you want to email a form, you would just select the form that you want to email and click Email Forms. There actually is another video tutorial specifically about emailing, so I'm not going to demonstrate that in this tutorial. I've already shown you the Export Forms button and how you can create a static copy of a form with that button. If you wanted to copy a form, let's say we wanted to make a duplicate copy of a form. For example, if you needed to renew an expired policy with a form or something like that, and you didn't want to type in all the information all over again, you just wanted to copy the form for the next year, you could click on the form that you want to copy and then click Copy Form. And it will ask for a confirmation, and it will give you a chance to enter a different optional description. And you can choose whether you want to copy to a current customer or copy to a different customer. I'm going to just copy to the current customer. And you'll see that it has added another ID card in the same list. Now, this ID card is going to be identical to the other one. It's a duplicate copy. So if I wanted to make any changes in that form, I would just click on it and then click Edit Form to open it up and make my changes. But that makes it handy for you to be able to copy forms so that you don't have to go back in and add a form from scratch every time. This is what you would do with this Sign Form button if you wanted to add a signature to the form. There is another tutorial that goes into the details of how to do signatures in Forms Boss, so I won't demonstrate that here, but that's what that form is for. If I wanted to edit the date and description for a form, I would click here. And I could change the date entered on this form if I wanted to put a different date entered, and if I wanted to change the form description, I could change it and click OK. And you'll see that it has changed the date entered and the form description there. The delete form button there is self-explanatory. It would just take away a form that you no longer needed. It will ask for a confirmation, and you can click yes to delete a form. Before I get to this cert holders button, I just wanted to show you the ways that you can arrange these forms. You can actually click on these headings to arrange the forms by ascending or descending date entered order. You can arrange by alphabetical order of the form name or alphabetical order of the form description. You can click twice to go ascending or descending. So there's different ways that you can look at your forms in the list to make it easier for you to find one. I also wanted to show you how our certificates work within Forms Boss. So let me demonstrate for you how that goes. I'm going to add a form. I'm going to add the Certificate of Liability Insurance, which is number 25. And I'm going to put a form description. And click Open. And here it has opened this certificate for us. And I wanted to show you on this form, as you scroll down to the bottom, it has this area for the certificate holder. And it also has other fields that are applicable to this specific certificate holder. So the description of operations and the date entered and some of these check boxes in the middle of the screen are specific to certain holders. So I'm going to show you how to add multiple certificate holders to a single certificate. I'm going to click Save on this form and then close the browser window, go back to my forms list. I'm going to find the form that I just added, the certificate that I just added, and I'm going to go over here to the Cert Holders button. When it opens up, you'll see that I don't yet have any cert holders added for this form, so I'm going to click the Master Holders database. This Master Holders database is the one that you can actually access from any customer. So you'll want to enter all of your master holders in this list. Let me show you how to add another holder. I'm going to click Add here, and it will pull up my holders screen. so that I can add a new holder. And you'll see that it added that new holder into the list. Now, in order to add holders to a specific form, I'm going to select whichever holders that I want to add to the form, and I'm going to click OK. Back on this holders for the specific form, and you'll see here it has both of the holders listed for the form. I'm going to actually click on both of those, and I'm going to click Print Holders. Here it has prepared a holders listing that shows those two holders that I have on this certificate. It shows the form name, the form description, the date entered, and then those two holders listed. So that's what happens when you print your holders. You can also click All Holders Forms. Let me show you what happens when you do that. So it has opened up an exported version of this form, and if you'll scroll down here, you'll see that it has the certificate holder added into the certificate holder area here, and here's his description of operations. And then if you scroll down further, you'll see another copy of the same form with the second certificate holder added in. So you've got both of those certificate holders with a version prepared of the form for each one. I'm going to close out of this. If you wanted to just prepare one of those certificate holders and not both, you could just select one and then click Selected Holder Form, and it would open up just the form for this one holder. You can also delete any holders that you no longer need to have associated with this form. And again, you can add and edit as you need to as well. So that gives you an idea of some of the special features available for forms, ACORD forms, and certificates within Forms Boss.